June 1987, in Tropea, Italy, Father Gabriele Amoreth, the personal exorcist to the Pope, arrives on a motorbike at a house where a young man is possessed. After a conversation with the man's sister, Amoreth finds the man in his bedroom. The possessed man claims to be the devil himself. Amoreth challenges the demon to possess a pig he brought with him, but one of his associates kills the pig with a shotgun blast when the demon accepts the challenge. Sometime later in Castilla, Spain, a family consisting of Mother Julia and her children Amy and Henry move into their new home. The family inherited an abbey from Julia's late husband, which they are trying to renovate and sell. Upon their arrival at their new home, Julia, Amy, and Henry were greeted by Thomas, who warmly welcomed them. The following day, Henry, who has not spoken since witnessing his father's death, and stumbled upon a hole in the wall. Peering inside, he was astonished to discover a hidden chamber adorned with ancient stone structures, a mysterious find shrouded in intrigue. The next day, Amoreth arrives in Rome to discuss the unauthorized exorcism in Tropea with higher-ups in the church. Only Bishop Lulum supports Amoreth, while Cardinal Sullivan, who does not believe in demonic possession, antagonizes him. Amoreth mentions a woman named Rosaria, who died after he failed to save her from possession, emphasizing that evil is real. Frustrated, Amoreth leaves the meeting, further angering Sullivan. The workers at the abbey approach the area that Henry had explored previously. Curiosity piqued, one of them attempted to investigate further, and one worker triggers an explosion by lighting a flare near an open space. A sinister blaze erupted, engulfing them in flames. With swift action, the injured worker was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Henry's encounter with the mysterious hole sent a shiver down his spine. As he gazed into its depths, an inexplicable heat suffused his body, causing his skin to prickle with discomfort. He has also started scratching his own face without a mercy. Julia takes her son Henry for medical tests. They find that his vitals appear normal. However, when they return home, Amy notices that Henry is heating up and becoming increasingly agitated. Suddenly, Henry pulls up his shirt, revealing the word hate scratched into his abdomen. In a demonic voice, voiced by Ralph Ineson, Henry demands that they bring him a priest. In desperation, Julia reaches out to Father Tomas Esquibel. But as soon as Tomas arrives, Henry's demonic entity throws him against the walls, yelling, "Wrong priest!" With no other option, Julia contacts Father Gabriele Amoreth. In a meeting with the Pope, Amoreth discusses the skepticism among other leaders in the church. However, the Pope insists that he and Amoreth know the truth about Henry's possession. He entrusts Amoreth with driving out the demon, but also warns him that this entity is particularly dangerous. Amoreth travels to Spain, where he meets with Tomas, Julia, and Amy. Despite Tomas being inexperienced in exorcisms, he joins Amoreth for the process. Amoreth enters Henry's room to confront the demon, only for it to taunt him and challenge him to possess an exorcist. The entity delves into Amoreth's memories, causing him to relive wartime experiences and a gunshot wound. It then forces Henry to regurgitate a dead bird, leading Amoreth to become genuinely disturbed by the evil within him. Amoreth tries to reassure Julia that they can save Henry through their faith, but the demon begins tormenting Amy. It makes her hear her father's voice and even sends sinister phone calls. Tomas tries to take the demon into his own hands, even though he himself is struggling with past mistakes. In a private conversation with Amoreth, Tomas reveals that the woman he had extramarital relations with, Adela, was the love of his life. He regrets his actions, knowing that they go against his duty to the church. However, Amoreth reminds Tomas that they must focus on saving Henry before the demon takes his life. They need to discover the entity's name in order to have any chance of defeating it. After leaving Thomas to keep watch over the family, Amoreth decides to investigate a nearby well. He drops an ignited piece of paper down the well, causing a massive burst of flames. Meanwhile, back at the house, the demon continues its violent spree by having Henry bite off a portion of Thomas's ear. It also tries to pull Julia into her bed and throws Amy around the room. In order to protect the family, the priests bring Julia and Amy to sleep at the abbey. Amoreth takes Thomas to the well to dig deeper into the demon's background. In the meantime, back in Rome, the Pope examines documents related to the abbey's history. Suddenly, he falls ill and faints, leading to his immediate hospitalization. In a desperate attempt to reach out to Lulumba and Sullivan on behalf of Amoreth, the Pope spews blood in Sullivan's face. As they continue their investigation, the priests discover catacombs where non-converts were executed and buried. Among the bodies, they find a man who had locked himself in a cage to protect others. Inside the man's body, Amoreth finds a key that leads them further into the catacombs. There, they come across the body of a founder of the Spanish Inquisition, who was also an exorcist. It is revealed that the demon, Asmodeus, had possessed him and infiltrated the church. Now the demon is attempting to gather an army of possessed victims. Meanwhile, the demon manages to simultaneously possess both Amy and Henry. Tomas finds a book in the catacombs that reveals Asmodeus's name. By speaking the name, Amy is released from the demon's grip. Tomas realizes that Asmodeus is specifically targeting Amoreth because of his close proximity to the Pope. Amoreth opens up to Tomas about his experiences in the war and his guilt for not saving Rosaria, who he believed to be mentally ill before she tragically jumped to her death in front of him. Rosaria's death exposed sinister deeds within the church, and Amoreth deeply regrets not helping her when she needed it. Seeking forgiveness, Amoreth asks for absolution, and Thomas grants it. Amoreth and Thomas gather Julia and Amy to join forces and save Henry. However, Asmodeus taunts the priests, making Henry's face appear more monstrous. Asmodeus confidently claims that there is no way to save the boy. To further provoke them, Asmodeus shows them visions of Rosaria and Adela, but the priests refuse to be swayed. Despite the demon's power weakening Henry, his true voice starts to emerge. Before possessing Amy again, the demon carves the words "God is not here" on Henry's body and commands Amy to attack Julia. Unable to bear it any longer, Amoreth finally gives in and allows Asmodeus to possess his body in order to save Henry and the family. The Pope senses Amoreth's danger and awakens. Thomas takes Julia and the children away from the house while Amoreth is under the demon's control. In an attempt to rid himself of the demon, Amoreth tries to hang himself, but Asmodeus's power has grown and it causes destructive chaos in the house. Amoreth is forced back down to the catacombs, where Thomas finds him and pleads with him to resist the demon's influence. Amoreth sees yet another demonic vision of Rosaria rising from the ground. Thomas joins the fight as the demon tries to use Amoreth to destroy the church. The priests face more hideous visions of Rosaria and Adela, but Thomas throws Amoreth across, and together they drive Asmodeus into a black pit, sending the demon back to hell. Amoreth expresses gratitude to Tomas and takes a drink from his flask. Amoreth and Tomas return to Rome together to meet with the Pope. The Pope provides Amoreth with a report on Spain and informs him that Sullivan has taken a break in Guam due to encountering the demon's power during Amoreth's possession. Sullivan has been replaced by Lulumba. The Pope assigns Amoreth and Tomas to other locations of demonic possession to continue their fight against the devil's work. Amoreth remarks to Tomas, "We're going to hell." The ending text reveals that Father Gabriele Amoreth continued his dedicated work in helping people until his death in 2016. It mentions that he wrote several books, adding that they are worth reading.